Creators with less than 20,000 followers are doing 100K plus months with coaching, and it's not because they're special or lucky, it's because they have the right system behind it. In this video, I'm going to be showing you what small creators already have, why they're stuck, and what creators that are doing 100K plus are doing already, and the exact front end, back end systems behind all of it. So let's start with what most creators already have. They have an audience with real signal, usually 5K to 20K followers. They've posted enough for people to start recognizing what they're doing, and their audience already links them to a specific niche, skill, or result. They also have clear signs of interest. People engage, they ask questions, and reply. DMs start coming in around the topic. Some viewers are already asking, how do I do that? Or can you help me with this? There is interest, but no real path for that interest to go anywhere yet. So they also have knowledge people would pay to shortcut. They already know something the audience wants to learn. Their content is teaching parts of that process, even if they haven't packaged it properly yet, and the audience is starting to connect them with a specific outcome. So the problem usually isn't that they have nothing valuable, it's that there is no real structure around that value. Okay? So the content loop that builds attention, not revenue. So small creators post content, they get views and engagement, people consume it, nothing meaningful happens next. So they post again, and the cycle keeps going. And here's why this never turns into revenue. Because there is no real next step. People watch, like, and engage, but there's nowhere meaningful for them to go next. No clear direction, no structure behind the content, so the interest dies before it becomes a lead. Secondly, the content builds interest, but there's no offer strength behind it. People might like the creator, but there's nothing clear enough or valuable enough to convert that interest into action. So no clear transformation, no strong outcome, no compelling reason to buy, so attention builds, but demand obviously never does. Thirdly, interest exists, but nothing is turning into revenue. People are paying attention, but there is no system behind that attention to actually convert it. So no belief is being built, no buying path is in place, no decision point is created, so the creator stays visible, but not profitable. So the creator doing 100K plus months under 20K followers aren't ahead because they're special, as I said. They're ahead because they build the structure most small creators never do. A clear offer, a path behind the content, and a backend that actually converts leads and interest into revenue. So here are some creators that are doing 100K plus months. You've got Alec, who's doing 107K a month, cash collected, and he has 9.9K followers across all platforms. You've got Leon, who does 120K a month, cash collected, and he has an audience size of 12.5K. And you've got Kobe, who's doing 150K. He's in the sales niche, and he has 19.2K followers across all platforms. And the list keeps going. Like you've got Kieran and Kieran. They've got they have done 74K a month cash collected. They have 8.6K followers across YouTube and IG. You've got Sev, who does 107K, and he has an audience size of 15.1K, and he's in the payment processing niche. You've got Patrick, who does 50K a month, and he's in the Amazon FBA niche, and he has 19.k followers. You've got Mo, who's doing 41K a month cash collected, and he's in the Amazon FBA niche, and he has 3.3K followers across YouTube and IG, not even one place. I know more people in person than this, and he's making 41K a month with it. So, I'll explain how this happens with the math of a 5-year-old. So if you have 20K followers, let's say like you have 15K followers, you sell a $5,000 offer, you sign 10 clients, that is 50K a month. That is just 10 people. That is less than 0.1% of the audience you already have. And this is the power of high ticket. So if your goal is to hit 10K a month, you have to sign 2 students per month. If your goal is to hit 25K, you have to sign 5. If your goal is to hit 100K per month, you have to sign 20 students per month. Okay? If this was a low ticket offer, let's say it's sold at $500, your goal is to hit 10K a month, you have to convince 20 people. You have to convince 20 people to pay you $500. If your goal is to hit 25K a month, you have to work with 50 people. And if your goal is to hit 100K a month, you have to work with 200 students, which is impossible. Unless you have more hours in your day, So same audience, different pricing. You don't need more followers, you need 2 to 20 buyers per month. Not hundreds of customers, not millions of views, just a small percent of the audience you already have. Okay, so let's get to the front end. What turns content into leads. So what front end actually means is, the front end is what turns strangers into interested people and interested people into leads. If this part is weak, you don't have a lead generation system, you just have content. So if you don't understand the buyer, you won't attract qualified leads. And this is very important. A lot of creators think they have a content problem when they really have a buyer clarity problem. If you don't understand who you're speaking to, your content might get attention, but it won't attract qualified leads. And you want to really identify your ICP, your ideal customer profile, who they are and what their stage they're at, what the result they actually want, what they're starting with right now, what they've already tried that hasn't worked yet, what they need to believe before they actually buy. So how you actually find this out? Instagram stories. You do a stories sequence with this template. I'm not gonna go over this in depth, but in a nutshell, it has a Google form in the end, and you ask where they are right now, ask what they want, ask what they're starting with, ask what they've already tried, and ask what's stopping them. And what you're doing is a small scale market research that helps you understand your ICP and your current audience. Collect all the answers in one place, and you have pain points, you have language, you have their goals, and all these things can help you in your sales calls, your setters, your closer, positioning your offer when you launch, etc., etc. Some of the creators that I work with, they do sales calls, so they actually do free calls with their audience, like with their. They post a story, they say, "I'm thinking about opening this, not really sure about what I'm going to include. Would you be open to a quick call?" And they would hop on a call with their audience, figure out their belief, hear their objections, the exact reasons they would or wouldn't buy, and they fill that all of that in a ICB document, and they have it in one place. Okay, so without a clear offer, content won't convert. I think this is obvious. Before content can actually turn attention into leads, there has to be a clear offer behind it. If the offer isn't clear, the audience may like the content, but they won't know what they're buying, basically. Okay, so a strong offer answers 5 things clearly. One, what results did this actually help me get, which is the transformation. Who's this actually for? The person, the ICP. How do I get that result? The vehicle. Why this over other options? Positioning. Why is this worth paying for? And this is the value. So no clear offer equal attention without intent. So here's examples of what a good offer versus a bad offer is. So a bad offer, I help people buy property. That is not specific at all. People doesn't know, like, are you in the Section 8? Are you in the Airbnb niche? What they're buying, how they're going to make money with it. So a better one is, I help first-time UK property investors buy their first cash-flowing rental through a step-by-step acquisition process designed for this market. You see how specific this is? You see how they identified their ICP? You see how they mentioned a clear mechanism that actually can make the process tangible and for their audience to understand simply, and all that was done in one line. So why the second one works: the result is clear, the person is clear, the process is clear, the positioning is strong, and the value is easier to understand. So a clear offer doesn't just explain what you do, it gives people something real to buy into. So how to attract the right traffic, not just more traffic. A lot of creators are already getting attention, and it's just not the kind that turns into buyers. So each platform plays a different role in the system. But like, here's a quick summary. You've got short form content gets attention. Instagram helps people validate you. Stories warm people up and move them toward an action. Actually, stories are very good for this. And YouTube long form content builds trust and stronger intent. Instagram is where people decide if you're worth taking seriously, honestly. Discovery brings people in, the profile validates positioning, the profile gives them an easy next step, and push the right people deeper into your world, your funnel. You don't want your ideal customer profile to get into your funnel and get out. Okay, so what a strong Instagram profile should include: a clear bio, a clear profile positioning, pinned content, nurturing story highlights, a link to an easy next step. Here's a weaker IG profile. It's not necessarily bad, but it's not the strongest. Here's a better one. As you can see, like, for example, she says, I help people build better systems with AI. This is not specific at all. You've got like Chase, he's in the TikTok shop niche. And just tell me, how many times can you see TikTok shop in his profile? Also, he has credibility. He says he was ranked number 2 on TikTok shop affiliate. And he has the strong story highlights. He has results. He has like sharing life. He has a place where people could start. And he makes the positioning obvious. He shows authority, as I said, with that ranking. And he just built trust right off the bat. Like, people just clicked on his profile, and now they trust him. Okay, they didn't need to even watch his content. Okay, so here's a story sequence flow that actually converts. So you have hook, you have story, you have proof, and you have CDA. It's just as simple as that. You complicate it, you lose money. You don't need to. So stories stop warm attention from going cold. So they actually, like, the people to settle in that zone that you built in your funnel, and from there you take them to your YouTube. Okay, so this is where the deepest trust gets built. Long form builds the deepest trust that attracts higher intent viewers actively looking for solutions. It lets people spend real time with your thinking and method. It nurtures viewers more deeply than short form ever can. So, micro niche YouTube content, specific content that attracts specific buyers. You speak to your ideal customer profile directly. You solve a specific problem. You focus on a specific outcome. And a good way to know that specific outcome is to ask yourself, what is the easiest outcome that I can help my students get to, and they would be the most satisfied with? If you answer, in the shortest amount of time. If you answer that question, you have that clear outcome. So high views mean nothing if they're not the right viewers. So small creators are not only the ones benefiting from this strategy. You've got, for example, Iman Gaji. He has 5.8 million subscribers on his main channel, and he made another small channel that has 66,000 subscribers, where he has micro niched. He's targeting a specific group of people that is very, very specific. You've got Brez. He follows the same strategy. I have 1 million subscribers on his YouTube. And he has another smaller channel for a smaller group of people, his target audience. I think it's clear by now. Okay, so how you turn warm attention into leads. A lot of creators already have warm attention. They just don't have a structured path that captures. Different funnel types do different jobs. But for now, the right one depends on your offer, your price point, and how much trust needs to be built before someone takes action. So a basic funnel would be a VSL to a book a call application form. It is best for higher ticket offers where someone needs more belief, explanation, and qualification before applying. Use a lead magnet funnel, which is best for capturing colder traffic, building trust over time, and moving people deeper through inertia. Lead magnet funnel could be a free value that you put out there. It's a checklist or something where people can sign up with their emails and get it for free, or a playbook, something like that. And from there, you take them deeper into your funnel. A webinar funnel or a challenge funnel, as I call it. That's when the lead needs more education, more context, a stronger belief before taking the next step. What the funnel is really doing is it's building belief before they ask. You handle their objections, filtering who's serious and who isn't, qualifying the lead for the sales conversation, moving the right people toward action. And qualification is very important because you don't want to waste your sellers or your closers' time with people who aren't qualified. Let's start with a VSL. It explains the opportunity properly. Okay, so you learn the exact. You have here an example of an application form. This is a qualification, a financial qualification question, and this isn't the last question. It is that question before the last, because if it's the last question and people aren't qualified, they think he only cares about money. Also, he has a good copy, clear headline, perfect. So application. He qualifies seriousness and financial ability, collects information needed for the call, filters out low intent buyers, and if they qualify financially, that's the most important, they get to book a call. And then they're faced with a confirmation page that reinforces the decision they just made, explains what happens next, keeps momentum high. Here it is. Yeah, your call is scheduled, but not yet confirmed. A member of our team will reach out shortly via text call to confirm. And they watch a video, and here are multiple videos answering the questions. And they're usually 30 to 45 seconds. Not that long of a video, but it answers the question. Now, let's get to the backend. What backend actually means, the backend is everything that happens after someone shows interest. It is what turns warm attention into a system that captures leads, follows them up, books calls, and converts them into clients. Why this matters? Without a backend, leads get missed, follow-up becomes inconsistent, and sales rely on more luck than structure. The 3 parts of a backend system are 1. Capture and organize, how interest becomes a real lead. 2. Nurture and follow-up, how leads stay engaged until they are ready. Money is on the follow-up. 3. Book and close, how warm leads become paying clients. And 4. Tracking, how we spot leaks, fix problems, and scale. So let's start with capture and organize. This is where interest becomes a real lead inside the system. Once someone clicks option or shows serious intent, they need to be tracked properly so they don't get out of the funnel and use that lead. So lead capture. This is how someone enters the system. That could be a form, a free training opt-in, as I said, a booking link, a DM automation, and it is tracked through the CRM. This is where all leads are stored, managed, and tracked. It shows who the lead is, where they came from, what they opted into, and what action they've taken. Many people use Go High Level, but I personally use Close CRM because it's easier for my setters and closers to navigate it. Easy navigation, more money. The smoother it is, the more money you make. Okay, tagging. This helps organize leads based on source, interest, action taking stage of the process. An example is if someone opts in through a certain lead magnet, they can be tagged based on that. That makes follow up more relevant. And you have a pipeline. This shows where each lead is in the process. So you have contacted, qualified, booked calls, showed up, and you track all that data. Okay, automations. These keep the system organized automatically so leads do not get missed. For example, adding more people to the CRM, tagging them, moving them into the right step, sending the next email or message. This saves time, reduces mistakes, and makes everything less hectic. So always automations, automations, automations. Why this matters, without this step, leads end up scattered across DMs, forms, inboxes. Follow-up becomes inconsistent and you lose leads. This is what makes sure every lead is captured, organized, and ready to be followed up properly. So in summary, lead capture, how someone enters the system, CRM, where leads are stored and managed and tracked, and tagging organizes leads based on source, actions, or stage. Pipeline shows where each lead is in the process, and automations keeps everything organized automatically so leads do not get missed. Okay, now for the nurturing and follow-up phase, this is the part of the backend that keeps leads warm after they show interest. Not everyone buys straight away. Some people need more time, more trust, more proof, or more reminders before they actually take the next step. So in email nurture keeps interest alive after someone enters the system, and the third of any business's sales come from email. So email is a very strong channel, and if you have good copy, you can sell them from emails, literally. It can answer common questions, show proof, build belief, handle objections, and move people closer to booking or buying. So DM and SMS. So DM or SMS follow-ups is more direct and more personal. It helps continue the conversation, answer questions, re-engage warm leads, move people toward the next step. Next step for SMS, you can use Brevo. It used to be called Send in Blue. If you're sending SMS follow-ups, as it can increase response rates by 2 to 3x. Nurture community. A nurture community is a place where leads are sent after they opt in, such as Telegram, Discord, or School. For example, someone books a call through your VSL. Instead of only sending emails, you also move them into a community group where they see other people. They see ongoing proof. They deliver regular value. They keep the offer visible. Let people build trust over time. A nurture community gives people a place to stay warm. I personally prefer WAP, but if you prefer School, it is completely up to you. Either one works. Other follow-up systems, reminder sequences, no-show-up, follow-up, re-engagement. And why this matters? This is what stops warm interest from going cold. Without nurture and follow-up, leads drift, forget, hesitate, and disappear before they ever make a decision. Now for the book and close, this is the part of the backend where warm leads are turned into booked calls, sales conversations, and paying clients. By this point, the lead already knows who you are, they have seen enough to be interested. Now the goal is to move them into a real sales process. So lead opts in, the lead enters the system and shows real interest. The setter reaches out fast. As soon as someone opts in, the setter follows up while the interest is still high. Speed to lead is key. Setter qualifies the lead. The setter checks whether the lead is financially prepared for the offer. A qualified buyer usually needs to be able to cover at least around a third of the full price, depending on the split payment options available. The setter books the closer call. If qualified, the lead is booked in with the closer. Pre-call process. Before the call, the leads gets to the right prep, reminders, and context, so they're really warmed up before that call and put in the right frame. Closer call. This is where the real sales conversations happens and the lead makes a decision. Outcome from here, the lead goes down one of the two paths. Closed, payment is taken and they move into onboarding. Now closed, they go back into ongoing nurture and retargeting. So we keep nurturing them, we keep retargeting them. And as always, why this matters, this is what turns warm leads into real revenue. Without this process, good leads sit in limbo, show-up rates drop, and sales depend heavily on chance. Okay, and for the last phase, which is tracking, this is how we see what is working, where leads are dropping off, and what part of the system actually needs improving. Without tracking, you're guessing. Without tracking, you can see what is happening, what is working, what is leaking, and what should be fixed next. Marketing metrics to track. Make sure to track traffic volume, lead volume, opt-in conversion rate, VSL watch time, form completion rate, funnel drop-off, sales metrics to track, setter For a setter, it's reply rate, bookings, follow-ups, qualified leads, show rates, closer, call staking, obviously, close rate, show rate, cash collected, and revenue for the setter and closer. Cash collected, AOV. Dashboards are very important. It is very helpful, very beneficial to your business to be able to see everything on one screen. So you create a dashboard for your setter, and you create a dashboard for your closer. Close CRM has that, so you can build it there and track everything. And why this matters, this is what shows where the bottleneck actually is. Otherwise, you end up guessing whether the issue is content, traffic, follow-up, bookings, or sales, and you waste time fixing the wrong thing. For example, lots of views below opt-ins, front-end issue. Lots of leads below bookings, nurture or follow-up issue. Lots of bookings below show-up rate, equal reminder, pre-call issue. Lots of calls below closes, equal sales issue. That makes the whole system easier to improve because you know which board that is not working exactly. So, what changes when this system is in place? What this actually changes, the right people do not just consume the content, they start moving through the system. Content stops being valuable on the surface and starts producing actual leads. By the time someone gets on a call, they're already warm, they're clear what they're about to be experiencing, and more qualified. Follow-up stops depending on memory, mood, or luck. Bottlenecks become visible, so growth stops feeling like guesswork. Revenue becomes more consistent, more measurable, and much easier to scale. This is how creators with under 20k followers make 100k plus months organically, and it's not because they're lucky, but because they built the system behind the content properly. So that was it. You have the whole system, the front end, the back end system. If you need any help in your business, just jump on a call, discuss ideas. Even if you're just confused, don't have a clear direction, I'd be happy to help. Peace.